I'm Jane Wilson-Howarth, and I'd like to read you the opening few pages of my book, A Glimpse of Eternal Snows. "You're carrying your baby like a monkey," an ancient woman shouted as we ducked into a small, smoky shack. We sat down on a couple of benches. Simon ordered tea as I extracted David from the baby carrier and suckled him. The woman wandered inside. I now saw that she was prematurely wrinkly and actually about my own age. She watched me for a few minutes, then said, "Why be you out in the sun with one so young? Your milk will get too hot." I was growing used to unwanted advice, but this came with a smile that wasn't like the criticism of the doctors we'd fled from a couple of weeks before. "The baby is beautiful, sister," she said. Then, when David burped and regurgitated a little, "See, he's vomiting. You've curdled your milk." Pouting her lips towards Simon, she said, "Is this the father of the children? Why haven't you bought her any gold? Aren't you embarrassed for your wife to be seen walking in the bazaar without gold?" Simon just chuckled, but I wanted to defend him. I showed her my engagement and wedding rings. "The colour of the gold is poor, and you need earrings, Biny." And then to Simon again, her eyes sparkling, "She's been a good wife. She's made 2 fine sons. Why do you dishonour her so?" Simon's eyes sparkled too. "But my wife is Tibetan," he lied. "Surely you know they never wear gold." "Am I? You eaters of cows are all the same." A scrawny cockerel with delusions of grandeur chased one of his harem noisily past us. Silhouetted in the low doorway, blocking out the light, was a whispering, watching huddle of young women. They didn't dare venture inside, but it was obvious who they were discussing. As I smiled at them, they started to giggle. 2 fled with their hands over their mouths. We downed our glasses of thick, sweet tea and left while the young women pleaded with us to let them keep David. At the next river, we drove down the bank and plunged in. Clear water surged onto the bonnet and over the windscreen. 3.5-year-old Alexander whooped with delight, and his excitement made little David chuckle. At 8 kilometres per hour, with water churning up to the windows, the river was intimidatingly wide, but it was exquisite too. The mirror-like water reflected magisterial red silk cotton trees and a range of jungly greens. Our bow wave disturbed a pair of plump, sun-orange geese and a scamper of plovers that had been picking around on the shoreline. At the far bank, we drove up onto a pristine beach between lantana hedges and then by a longhouse. Panicking chickens scattered between thatched huts and peepal trees on the edge of Rajapur village, our final destination. We passed under an arch of sprightly bougainvillea and drooping bottle brushes and pulled up in the courtyard of an imposing 2-storey whitewashed house. An overwhelming smell of cow dung hit me as I tumbled stiffly out, and I beat the dust from my clothes. "Don't want to do that journey too often," I said. "Ta, you softy," Simon teased. "It was only 15 hours driving." 2 tethered water buffalo paused their cud chewing to turn and stare. I fleetingly caught the perfume of frangipani. A striking gentleman, dressed in a freshly ironed lungi, approached. His white hair was tied up into a top knot. He was unusually tall for a Nepali, as tall as my lanky husband. Smiling and with his hands held palms together as in greeting, he uttered his carefully practiced English. "You are most welcome to Rajapur." Sounded as if he was giving the island to me. Mirroring the gesture, Simon replied, "Thank you, Mr. Vaidya. We're pleased to be here." Then he switched into Nepali and they chatted a while. Mr. Vaidya ushered us up stone stairs and onto a large balcony. A relaxed, self-confident-looking man of 30-ish sat on the parapet. He wore new jeans, Nike trainers, and a carefully shaped moustache. You have come. Everyone from the Department of Irrigation is waiting for you, Simon, sir. Project Manager Sahib is here also. He pointed to a room that was too dark to see inside, but I could hear men talking. There are so many farmers who want to talk to you only. Below, men squatted or stood around, waiting, smoking. Wasn't expecting a meeting today, Simon said. I need a drink before we start. The boy is bringing filter water. Here, take. Simon gulped some down and said, We'd better start. Those must be the farmers waiting below. Yes, it is so. Still unsmiling, the man turned to me and said, Mrs. Simon, madam, you must take a shower in there. He indicated a door while I wondered if I smelt bad. I peered into what appeared to be a cupboard, but there's no tap. The boy, Vishnu, will bring water in a bucket for a bath, Mrs. Simon. And your room is downstairs. Come. Thank you, Mr. Tapa, Himalayan Tapa. Mr. Simon has spoken of me, I think. Oida? Yes, I said, not remembering. Himalaya showed us to a dusty, whitewashed room. Inside were 2 small beds, a pair of flip-flops, 3 used torch batteries, an old paint pot containing some African marigolds. A stub of candle was stuck to the table, with some spent matches beside it. After Himalaya had left us, Alexander said, He was nice. Then, let's go and play. Outside, a tall, lean man was beckoning from the top of Mr. Vaidya's huge red tractor. Come, Babu, and he invited Alexander to sit on his lap while they drove round and round on piles of unthreshed rice. The sun had set by the time Simon finally finished his meeting. He came bounding in saying, Phew, this is going to be a challenging place to work. I don't think I've ever encountered so many political agendas in one afternoon. Himalaya was on Simon's heels. These farmers will never listen to the government directives. He led us upstairs again to where Vishnu, squatting at 2 primer stoves on the floor, was whistling cheerfully while adding the finishing touches to supper. Gratefully, we devoured rice, delicately flavoured lentils, spicy vegetables, and piquant chutney. Vishnu bhai. Yes, Memsa, what do you need? Nothing. This food is delicious. Vishnu smiled. One of Simon's engineering colleagues, Dr. Josie, leaned across. You don't need to say these things, Mrs. Simon. It's not good to be nice to this boy. Speaking like this to servants will make them lazy. Josie then fired off a random bit of flack. The vegetables are too salty, Vishnu. So, A Glimpse of Eternal Snows is launched in October by Bradt in the UK and in February 2013 in the US by Pequot. I hope you enjoy it.